What is up, guys, and welcome to the video. We have a high carb day going down. So this morning I woke up at a new low body weight of 98.8 kilos. I went and hit my morning cardio, and then I picked up some carbs for this high carb day. So we got meal one going down here. I've got two multi-grain bagels with some low sugar jam and a little bit of peanut butter, probably about 20 grams. And then I've got two whole eggs, 250 grams of egg whites, some mushrooms, spring onion, and a little bit of cheesy seasoning. And then I've got my 5 fish oil here. And then I've got a glass of my daily jamu that I have, which is talked about in other videos, a blend of like turmeric, ginger, lime, really good for its anti-inflammatory properties. So I'm going to get this meal down because I'm starving. I've been grinding away on low calories for 5 days now. So the body is well and truly in need of some extra fuel, but it's going to be a good video today. I'm going to talk about how I implement high carb days, the benefits they might have, and how to know when you should actually have them or not, and how to set them up. So follow along with the video. Hope you can learn a thing or two. I'll catch you guys in the next clip. So as I mentioned earlier, this video I'm going to talk about the benefits, utility, and misconceptions around refeeds and high carb days. So the first thing I want to cover is when would be an appropriate time to have a high carb day or a refeed when you're dieting. And I think there's basically 3 main categories. Now, the first category is after a rapid amount of weight loss. We know that when weight loss becomes too aggressive, we risk losing muscle and we risk performance decline. So if you see your weight basically come off really quickly, this can be an appropriate time to have a high carb day or a refeed to just sort of put the brakes on and mitigate some of that risk. Now, the second time to potentially have a refeed or a high carb day is if your energy levels and enjoyment of the program have dipped substantially. Having a short-term influx of carbohydrates more than likely will refresh your mood and your well-being, and will get you refocused for the next block of low calories. Now, it's important to remember that when you get lean enough, your energy levels are going to be low regardless. But if it's get to the point where you're basically redlining and even getting to the gym has become a hassle, it can be a good idea to just have that recharging of the batteries to allow you to sort of push on to the next stage. Now, the third time that you can have a refeed or a high carb day is on a regular time interval or at a weight loss checkpoint. Now, this method can also be effective because it gives you a short-term goal to focus on. Adhering to a diet plan is a lot easier when you know you've only got sort of 4 to 6 days in front of you before getting some high carb relief, as opposed to just going into a dieting block and knowing you've got 12 weeks in front of you with no refeeds at all. That can make the process become very daunting and increase the chances of you falling off the program. I also like the method of having them as at weight loss checkpoints, because it is a very good way to facilitate that adherence when you know you've got to earn your refeeds by losing a certain amount of weight or body fat. So next we're going to talk about the benefits of high carb days and refeeds. Now, I touched on the psychological and the mental benefits, and these are going to be the biggest benefits that you're going to receive from having a high carb day. Someone who has a positive mood state and better well-being when they're dieting will have a far easier time adhering to the program and actually pushing themselves in the gym as well. The second benefit comes from refilling glycogen stores. Now, we know when we're in a calorie deficit and we're dieting, our muscles deplete of glycogen and we start looking flat. Now, this can actually make our physique sometimes look worse during the dieting phase. So by having these short-term influx of carbohydrates to refill these glycogen stores, often it gives the physique a nice fuller and rounder look, which again has a nice positive effect on the mental state. When you look good, you feel good, and it's a lot easier to push on and grind when you feel like you're actually getting rewarded for your discipline and your dieting. The third benefit comes from resolving water retention. Now, we actually know from a lot of the research that water retention can actually increase during fat loss phases, and this can give sort of a blurry, soft look to the physique. Now, we know that with high carb days, this can sometimes lead to a flushing effect, and a removal of this water can give you a much harder and leaner look. And I think this is also why one of the reasons why some people report actually waking up lighter after their refeed or their high carb days, because they're getting rid of that water. Now, the final benefit comes down to our training performance. It is very difficult and damn near impossible to perform optimally when you're very restricted on your calories and your carbohydrates. Now, by having a high carb day, often what we see is really productive performance in the gym for the next few days following that high carb day. So lastly, I'm going to talk about some common misconceptions around high carb days and refeeds. Now, I think the biggest misconception is that refeeds boost metabolism or act as a metabolic jumpstart. Now, we have had very well designed research papers published in the last 12 months which have actually disproved this theory. So don't implement refeeds or high carb days because you think you're going to be able to maintain your metabolic rate at a higher level. Another common misconception is that refeeds prevent muscle loss when dieting. We also have research to show that is not actually the case. What I think is happening is that when we have a high carb day or a refeed, we refill some glycogen and it gives our muscles a much rounder, fuller look, and people are actually mistaking this increase in fullness with an increase in muscle mass. Now, a final misconception is that refeeds cause higher hunger. I don't think this is the case. I think when people report higher hunger during these high carb days, it's not from the higher carbs itself, it's from the carbs that you're choosing to refeed on. We know that better tasting carbohydrates and nicer tasting foods have a lower satiety response. So if someone goes from eating oatmeal and sweet potato to then suddenly refeeding on jelly beans and muffins, we know that the satiety response on the jelly beans and the muffins is going to be much smaller, and this can potentially lead to higher hunger reported on refeed days. Now, if you are someone who struggles with hunger when you increase your carbs on refeed days, I would suggest just keeping your normal carbohydrate sources consistent throughout the refeed, but just increasing the portion sizes of them. Alrighty guys, meal 2 is going down, and it is the pre-workout meal, pre-legs in fact. We are going to hit a quads and carb session. So the meal situation here, 150 grams of cooked chicken breast with a bit of mustard and salt, and some green beans with mixed coconut, I think like 70 grams, but I didn't count that towards my carb total today. Then over here we got some goodies. We've got one banana muffin and one cinnamon scroll that I picked up from the bakery this morning. So this meal is going to be 105 grams of carbohydrates, and meal 1, as you saw, was around about 100 as well. So we're getting through the carbs for the first 2 meals, but I'm gonna get this down. We'll probably chill for like 30 minutes, let this digest, and then we are going to go murder some quads. First movement for this leg day going down. Originally I was starting with like a heavy press or a compound to kick off my leg days, but I found it was aggravating my knees. I was getting a lot of pain through there. So the idea now is to start with an isolation, get some blood flow into the muscle and around the joints before we go into our heavier work. So starting with a leg extension, I was just doing some theta sets, then just building up to my working weight. So now we're 2 plates of a full stack, and I'm going to go into my first working set. So it's going to be an all-out set to failure, somewhere in the 8 to 12 rep range, and then I'll rest until I'm completely recovered, and we do a back off set. So the back off set will be again with like 20% reduced weight, but all out to failure. And then we're going to do 2 immediate double drop sets into that. So by the end of this, we should have super pumped quads and ready to roll into the heavier compound stuff.
What is that, bro?
This?
Yeah.
Magro leaf juice.
What? And now for some magic enhancing Mogro leaf juice. Bottoms up.
Alrighty, we got our first compound movement going down, our second exercise for the day, trusty barbell squats. So I was just building up to my working weight there, got 160 kilos on the bar for my first working set. So just gonna be a straight set, again, to as many reps as I can do with good form. Then I'll recover, I'll probably strip half a plate off, so go back down to 140, and then I'll do a back off set again to like as many reps as I can do with good form. So 160 when my calories are low is a lot of weight, but fighting my ass off to keep my strength, because if you keep your strength during a cut, you got a hell of a lot of chance to keep your muscle as well. So calories are low, but dreams are big. Got third movement for quads happening now. This will be the last sort of prime mover for quads that I'll do this session. So got this interesting new leg press setup. You can't load a whole lot of weight on it, but it hits the quads at a really, really nice angle. So it's not IG friendly exercise, because like this is, I'll be doing my max here, and it's only 6 plates aside, and so not a whole lot of weight, but it distributes the tension and the weight exactly where I want it to try and grow my quads. So I'm going to do 1 top set to failure here. I'll rest and recover. It's probably going to take me, like you can see from my breath rate already, just from those squats, I'm already struggling to get my breath rate back down anyway. But I'll do 1 top set to failure, probably rest like 4 minutes, and then I'll do a back off set, and that back off set's going to go immediately into a double drop set. So that's going to be a lovely way to torch and finish off the quads. So let's get it done.
You make a wet the floor, bro.
I made an angel.
Yeah, you need to clean this one.
Okay, moving on to calves now. So got this like horizontal leg press set up, sort of the best option that I have for calves here. So you can't get a whole lot of weight on it, so we're doing the full stack on this. So reps are going to be a little bit higher than ideally I'd like, but still going to take the working sets to failure. So I was just building up there, getting to my top set now. So I'll probably do, I'm going to do 2 all-out sets to failure, and then the last 2 sets are going to be back off sets where I'm actually going to do some rest pauses. So a rest pause set is where you go to failure on the first effort, rest 15 seconds, go again, rest 15 seconds, go again. So you can get a whole lot of volume, quite very dense in a short period of time. So time to block the calves. Alrighty, last movement to wrap up this quads and calves day. Hitting some adductors. So adductor is this inside of the quad here. It's an area I'm trying to build up so that my quads and my legs look bigger from the front on. Gives the illusion that sort of your quads are bigger than they are. So I'm gonna hit one top set for adductors all out to failure after a couple of building sets, and then that is gonna be us done for legs day. I am smoked. I had to have a couple of quiet moments on the floor there to get my breath back, but successful leg day all around. So I'm gonna finish this one off and then we'll catch you in the next clip for the post-workout feed.
Only water,
Yeah,
no ice?
some ice please. One tuna roll. Alrighty, post-workout meal, post-legs, going down the third meal of the day. So as soon as I finished the session, I had a protein shake, just blended up at the gym. Just weight isolate, 30 grams with some ice and water, and it is about 20 minutes into the future now. So getting what I think is probably my favorite food in the world, and that is sushi. So I've got 20 pieces of sushi here. Got the spicy tuna roll on this side, and then I've got a tuna avocado roll with some crab stick in the middle. So I tracked this out to be 120 grams of carbohydrates. Sushi digests incredibly well, so I doubt this will even touch the sides, but we still got a fair bit of carbs to get in for the rest of the day. So this will go down a treat. I'm gonna enjoy it, and I'll catch you guys in the next clip. So for my fifth meal tonight, I've got 300 grams of cereal. Alrighty guys, we were mid-filming in the grocery store, but a nasty, grumpy old lady basically kicked us out, so we had to cut that pretty quickly. But what I did pick up was some cereal, some almond milk, and some pineapple. So for my fifth meal today, I've got 300 grams of low-fat cereal planned, which works out to be 250 grams of carbohydrates for the meal, which is the most carb heavy meal of this high carb day. But I go with cereal just because it digests so well, and it's a very easy way to get a lot of carbohydrates in without sort of massive bloating or digestive discomfort. Now, I think one of the main problems people have when approaching their high carb days or their refeed days is going in with the assumption or the goal to try and suppress all their appetite or to reach complete fullness. If you are lean enough or shredded enough, no amount of food on any single day is going to make you feel completely satiated, and more than likely you're just going to end up feeling bloated and uncomfortable before you actually reach that satiety. And that tends to be why when people go sort of freewheeling into their high carb days looking for that sensation of fullness, they end up just eating and eating and eating, never actually reaching that point, and then they end up looking like a beached whale the day after. So all the meals that I'm having today are pre-planned 2 days in advance at least, so there's no emotion or subjectivity in my food choices that I'm making today. Everything's accounted for, everything's part of the plan. So I'm gonna put this away, get ready for the next meal, and we'll see you in the next clip.
Soy sauce, penne sauce.
Alrighty, meal 4 is going down. So got a little pineapple fried rice going down, Hawaii style. So in this plate of goodness, I have 100 grams of coconut beans, 150 grams of cooked chicken breast, 300 grams of cooked white rice, and 200 grams of grilled pineapple. And we know why the pineapple is in there. Of course, for digestive reasons, get your minds out of the gutter. So this meal comes to a grand total of 120 grams of carbohydrates. So our carbs are getting up there today. Hunger is still well intact, so I'm not feeling bloated, I'm not feeling sluggish, so we are sitting pretty. So this meal is going to go down, and then I've got one more heavy carb meal for the day, and then a smaller meal, actually a no carb meal to finish off the evening, but I'll show you guys all that. So I'm gonna eat this, catch you in the next clip. Alrighty, meal 5 and the heaviest carb meal of the day. So as I mentioned, I'm doing 300 grams of cereal in this meal, which works out to be 260 grams of carbohydrates and less than 8 grams of fat. Smells delectable. So I'm gonna have it with almond milk. I find that if I'm doing like big volumes of milk, almond milk just tends to digest a little bit better. I have no issues with dairy. It's just if I'm having like 1 liter of it at a time. So I've been hanging for this meal for a number of days. So I'll give it a go. So alongside the cereal and the almond milk, I am doing 50 grams of the protein matrix to hit my protein for the meal. So this works, that will give me 40 grams of whey isolate protein in that meal. So big chunk of my daily carbs going down here, but it digests super easy. For anyone struggling to get their carbs in, like when they're bulking or something like that, I recommend cereal because it's so energy dense, it tastes good, digests well, and it doesn't leave you feeling sort of bloated and gassed out, which sometimes eating really large volumes of like rice, oatmeal, and potatoes. They're damn good. For anyone who says they can't get their carbs in when they're bulking, eat cereal. This stuff goes down like water, tasty water. Super, super dense. Very easy way to get in calories, and digests awesome as well. Alrighty guys, this will be the final meal of the evening, and it's not too exciting. It's actually a low carb meal. So my final meal is going to be 400 grams of liquid egg whites, but I cook these up in a pan. Then I'm gonna have 100 grams of chopped strawberries mixed through that, and then 25 grams of peanut butter. So pretty low carb, a little bit higher fat meal because I've well and truly had plenty of carbohydrates for the day. For a little bit of flavor, I whack on some cinnamon as well. So you guys might have noticed that I've transitioned from doing basically just 2 complete free meals, or cheat meals if you want to call them, per week on my high days, to now having a lower fat, higher carb approach. Why is this? Well, basically up to sort of recently, I just wasn't that depleted. And the more depleted we get, the lower our glycogen stores get, which basically means the more benefits that we can potentially receive from loading up on carbohydrates and the less benefits that we might receive from having extra fats. So we should probably think of our glycogen stores as like a bucket. So the more empty the bucket gets, the more we can fill it up. And the more we can fill it up, the more pronounced the changes in our muscle fullness, our visuals, and our training performances are going to be. So that is why I am an advocate of switching to more of a higher carb, lower fat refeeding approach or high day approach as you do start pushing into the shredded stages. So that is going to be a wrap for today's video. I hope you guys did learn a thing or two. Panday is going to calculate the carbs for today and whack them on the screen, but it is going to be back to low days tomorrow because I'm getting lean, but there's still a bit of fat on the bod, so we're going to torch that up and we're going to push it and really see how good I can look, because as I touched on in previous videos, I do want to see getting close to stage condition. Do I realistically think I have a shot to shake it with some of the top guys at a national level contest? And I'm not sure yet. I know that I've got the work ethic and the headspace to be able to do that. It's just going to be a question, do I have the physique, genetic makeup to really bring it? But I'm giving it my all in 100%. Everything is precise, monitored, and I'm pushing to my limits in everything I do. So I'm giving it the best opportunity that I possibly can. But that's enough of a rant. We're going to end this video here, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. If you did enjoy the video, I'd really appreciate it if you could drop a comment and subscribe if you haven't already. Peace.